We're going to build the best football team in the SEC Conference. We're going to build the best football program in the SEC Conference.
You have now arrived at Stadium in Gale.
The kick, it's been blocked again! How about it? It's been blocked again! It's going to heat one deep down the field. It's going to be to the goal line. It's going to be gone! It's a touchdown! And the Gators have won the game! Tyreek Cleveland! How about it? I can't believe what I just saw! Dropping back to throw. Pops and fires the ball over the middle. It's Dory! It's Dory! Got a touchdown! Dory got a touchdown! Oh, man! Dory's got a touchdown!
Ahmad Black, in his final game as a Gator, takes it all the way home and sends Urban out the winner.
You have now arrived at Stadium in Gale.
Boys and girls, ladies and gents, welcome to another episode of Stadium in Gale. It's your favorite Uncle Silk.
It's Dan.
And Delatorre.
Same corner, same time, new coaches. How y'all feeling? How was y'all weekend? Everything's good?
Everything's everything. I'm actually up in Pennsylvania right now with the lady and her family. So been up here since what, a day or two ago. What?
Huh?
What? So been up here for a day or two. Actually going up to New York City on Wednesday for a couple of days. Going to do the old Christmas in New York City thing for a couple of days. So
You're like the most romantic.
I am. You know, a Renaissance man. Don Quixote type of guy too over here. You know, Nick. Just
how you find time to learn those dance moves, man?
Years. That's
just
years of accumulated moves.
Right. That's right. That's just practice. That's just exposure to the world, Corey. You know, that's just not one thing that you learn. It's just
Can you floss, Dan?
What?
Can you do the floss?
I thought you said, do I floss?
No, that Fortnite dance. I imagine
I've never tried that.
Floss. It takes a little practice because it's like more. It's not really like a rhythm type dance. It's more of a coordination.
Yeah, so no, I've not tried, but I mean, you guys know my coordination, so I'd probably struggle a little bit more than the average human, you know?
Yeah, the floss is not his bag. He's more of a freelancer.
I thought that was going to go the other way.
I'm more of an interpretive dancer.
There you
go. Nick, how was your weekend, buddy? You had a busy weekend.
Yeah, there's just a bunch of stuff going on. Silk's favorite coach struggled this week, including this weekend. Covered that game. Florida basketball has not done well since I've had to cover them. I think I should stop altogether.
Is Eric free tonight? What are we doing?
We can bring Eric on.
Eric, bro.
Eric's being too negative. Eric used to be a big Mike White guy. Has not been.
It's hard to be. Sometimes you lose your fan base as a writer or a podcaster or a content guy if you just ride down with the sinking ship. So at some point, you got to jump off.
I'm riding it still.
You know how your weekend was, Nick, and you went straight to Mike Blanco. So I know your weekend wasn't good.
It was it's just a lot of work. Florida recruits on campus, so we were pumping that. Just a lot of work this weekend.
I think with Eric, the hardest part is you come with like solutions, and then they never get like listened to. And then you're just like tired of trying to provide solutions, you know? So then you get into the, the attacking mode. I get it. I've been there.
I mean, he was a positive guy. He had good takes. You just got to give the guy the benefit of the doubt for a little minute, which he did. But at some point, man, it is what it is. The product is the product. And I don't want to get deep into basketball. Let's see if Eric is available. We can talk about that later. My weekend was all right. Not a whole lot. Got to relax a little bit. Watch a little Army Navy while going to the Green Market. I went to go see hip hop Nutcracker with the family. That was pretty dope. I didn't watch the original Nutcracker, so I didn't know they didn't talk.
Oh yeah.
Nobody told me, so I was confused for like the first 10 minutes. Like, yo, when is the dialogue gonna begin?
No dialogue?
No dialogue.
No.
No, it's all music.
That sounds terrible.
All music and dance, man. The second act, it was like an intermission, but the second act was pretty dope, man. You got to get the story out of. It was a great experience, I would say. Never been to anything like that before. Shout out to the wife for grabbing those tickets. Went to the Kravitz Center. Dope vibes. Just some good, holiday shenanigans with the fam. That's it.
I can't
Just
imagine
enjoying coaching hires. What's up?
I can't imagine the confusion. You're like, you go there and you don't know, like, hey, no one's talking. No one gives you a heads up. She's like, hey, we're watching interpretive dance.
Right. So I was chilling. I was just like, all right, the moves is fire, but
they gonna say
why are they
anything?
just dancing like in front of each other? Like, what's going on here? Is this Charlie Chaplin vibes? Like, what's going on? I tapped my wife. I was like, why they not talking? She was like, babe, they don't talk in Nutcracker. Oh, okay.
Okay. Would have appreciated a heads up on that one. Thank you, though.
You told me that when you was buying the tickets.
I'll be ready. I'll be more prepared for Act 2. Thank you.
Both the kids fell asleep in like within 20 minutes.
So the only time I've ever gone to like a play like that is on like a cruise ship. And some elite naps. You're drinking by the pool all day, so you got a little sun in you. You get into this nice, cool room. They turn the lights down. It's like, hey, I don't know what the show is, but this is going to be a really nice nap here.
Nick, you don't do Broadway and you don't do plays and musicals and stuff?
No.
Oh, wow.
It's really not a culture guy. Yeah, not a culture guy over here. Just goes to wrestling matches and football games. And
there's some great musicals out there. Let's see, I've seen Hamilton and
I love Hamilton, but see, I think I'm a snob. I think I'm a snob. The first time I saw Hamilton was on Disney Plus, so I don't know if I could go to.
Oh, I never seen it live. That's why I saw it too.
Yeah. So I don't know if I can go to the live, like the live performance now that doesn't have that original cast. I think I'm a Hamilton snob.
Yeah, I think you would like the Book of Mormon. I saw that one a few times. That one's good.
What's that about?
I've seen a few. It's actually about the Book of Mormon. Coincidentally. No, it's by the writers.
It's like Book of Eli, but something else.
Yeah. It's very different than the Book of Eli.
For sure.
No, it's by the writers of South Park, and I think a couple
totally different book.
Yeah. It's a
similarities.
It's hilarious. Yeah. No, I think you'd like it. But yeah. Well, Corey, glad you had a good time. Nick, you had a good time. Silk, why don't you get us into a Brunt ad read, and then we got some coaching hires to announce.
Oh man, some legendary, like just people just getting hired into the swamp, man. It's a dream come true, man. Bucket list stuff for your boy. Shout out to the great folks at Brunt Insurance and Financial Services. Anything you need insured, from the Panhandle to the Keys, my man Greg got you. Visit Brunt Insurance or give them a call at 954-589-2204. Home insurance, auto insurance. If you have a motorcycle, trailer, business, if you just need your life taken care of and make sure it's just all right in case something happened, my man Greg got you. BruntInsurance.com or 954-589-2204. Big coverage, big policies. Greg, what it do, baby?
Well, perfect. Well, the first coach that we're going to announce is none other than Corey Raymond, a absolute legendary hire, former cornerback for the LSU Tigers, played a number of years in the NFL, got into coaching not long after leaving the NFL, spent the last 10 years at LSU as their defensive backs coach, and also had some roles, assistant head coach and a recruiting coordinator in there as well, but considered one of the best recruiters in the country, considered one of the best coaches in the country. The Gators grab an absolute legend to coach cornerbacks. Silk, I know that this is a name that you and I have thrown around for years. Nick, you've obviously seen it every year covering the Gators, that Corey Raymond is a guy that the Gators should go after. The Gators are finally able to grab him. Legendary hire. So give me your thoughts, my friend.
Hey, man, a guy that I said was just the furniture at LSU. So when Brian Kelly came aboard and they said they expect Corey Raymond to stay, I was just like, yeah, he's just the furniture. So coaches change. One thing that stays is Corey Raymond. Absolute legend. I don't think there's a better, I don't know who's keeping track of it, but I don't think there's a better DB coach ever than Corey Raymond as far as resume. The list is crazy. Just an elite recruiter, elite technician coach, Jamal Adams, Del Pitt, Chris Fulton, Derek Stingley. You just name them the last few years, just recent names. He's just that guy. Come down to South Florida, he could grab recruits down here. He could get them in Louisiana. He's a national name. I think he could be. We're gonna be in it with the top elite kids each and every year, man. Excited, Nick.
He some guy on Twitter was like, "Can you actually coach a game before you call this a coup?" And I'm like, "Listen, dude, I've been covering Florida for 10 years, 4 head coaches. Every single time there's been an opening at Florida, it's like, yo, can you get Corey Raymond?" I'm like, dog, he's not leaving LSU. Played there, been there, not leaving LSU. I think
it didn't even seem like a very ambitious guy. Like he wanted to leave and be DC somewhere else. He seemed like he was kind of complacent for all these years. So
he's just home. You know, maybe I just thought, hey, listen, he's home. He's happy being the DB coach there. Maybe at one point he'll get promoted to be the DC at LSU, but he's just happy being at LSU. Just goes to show you how weird Brian Kelly is. Brian Kelly's there for 2 weeks, and Corey Raymond's like, yo, I got to get out of here.
I kind of get it. I mean, you want that guy, like, from an outsider's standpoint. Like, if I'm Brian Kelly, I come in, this guy is like a god in Louisiana as far as, like, who he is on campus. You don't want that guy on the staff that seems untouchable.
Sometimes you get, and we've seen this, sometimes you get great recruiter, bad coach. And you're like, hey, put him on staff because he's going to get guys that the other coaches can coach.
Right.
And then like the last staff, you get guys who aren't interested in recruiting but can coach them. Corey Raymond's a mix of both.
He's a lead at both.
Yeah. So, like I said, it's a coup for Florida to get Corey Raymond.
No doubt, man. And in a position of need, I think our defensive back room is in shambles. So I was looking for this hire to see who he brought in, and this is a guy. I'm not gonna get caught up in recruiting for Wednesday or like in high school recruiting. This guy that could poach names, like the elite of names, just from his reputation. But our DB room is in shambles. So I was waiting to see who's our DB hires and how we recruit at DB. Who do we bring in? Just a Porter move got to be made there. So Corey Raymond just was like, if you got to make a home run hire, you know, the streets was buzzing a little bit with my man Billy, and he came out with a big bat.
Yeah, I mean, I think that this is what you talk about. I think this is what you talk about when you talk about elevating staff, right? I mean, you know, I think the first couple of positions that, you know, Billy Napier and the Florida Gators announced coming over were guys that were already working with him at ULL. And, you know, when you make the move from Louisiana to Florida, you want to see an upgrade in staff, right? You want to see, hey, we've got more money now. What can we do with that money? And, you know, Corey Raymond is a guy that I'm pretty sure any school in the country would want to hire if the opportunity was available. I know Miami really wanted to hire him. I know that there's been a lot of talks all over the country. Every time there's a DB, a defensive coordinator, or sometimes even a head coach opening, Corey Raymond's name is always one of the first that gets thrown around. So
anybody with a DB coaching situation was definitely interested in Corey Raymond. Any Miami fan that's saying they had T-Rob and they was fine, there's still levels to this, man. T-Rob isn't Corey Raymond, bro. It just is what it is. So everybody that's looking for a defensive back coach is definitely in the market for Corey Raymond. So good nab by Billy Napier.
Yeah, I think that adds – I don't want to say it adds legitimacy because I don't think Billy Napier needs legitimacy, but I think that it elevates, you know, continues to elevate the Florida brand, and to have a coach like Corey Raymond who – probably could go to any school in the country that he wants to be able to buy into Billy Napier's vision and everything else too, I think speaks volumes about Billy Napier as well. So that's like we talked about, a great coup. I don't think there's much to talk about other than, I mean, that's
let's get into his title, because I think Billy's getting a little tricky and a little weird with the titles, and I like how he's playing games with those titles. So what's Corey Raymond's title? Executive defensive back guru.
He got an odd title.
Strategist.
He is. No.
Because originally I thought it was like for us to get him, I was thinking maybe he was co-DC, and he's not co-DC. So
it just says assistant head coach of the defense. Yeah. Cornerbacks coach and assistant head coach of the defense.
I like it.
You're gonna get some titles, add commas and zeros. So you're going to get some interesting titles. I think that's one of them for sure.
Nick, if every bank in America can have every one of their employees be a vice president, let's start giving these guys some like legitimate titles, like gone are the days of cornerbacks coach, like president of DB Island or something. I mean, we need some elite titles.
I'm just waiting for like Minister of Mischief.
That's right. Yeah.
Minister of Mischief. I like that role.
Yeah. How about that one? That's Silk. Silk's on the recruiting staff.
No, I think
Minister
that's the
of
role they
Mischief.
gave. Is that not the title they gave Cheney? No,
that's gonna be Greg Nord. When Greg Nord comes back,
if Nord, that's the minister of worm doing the worm.
Oh man,
we've had some terrible recruiters, man. Shout out to let's move
shout
on
to Greg Nord.
We've had some terrible recruiters here at the last 8 years or so, or 6 years. How many ever years it been? It's been terrible.
Let's see. Trying to think if there's anything else about Corey Raymond, other than the fact that he's elite. I think that you'll start to see that, over the next couple years, right? I mean, I don't think you'll see it on Wednesday on early signing day, and you might not even see it this year. But this is a guy that's going to attract eyeballs all across the country. So elite hire can't do, in my opinion, really any better.
Great get. As a DB, I'm a DB guy, man. This has warmed my heart, my soul. I've been sleeping a little bit better every night, knowing that my man Billy Napier ain't hiring nobody like Kirk Callahan or something crazy. You know what I'm saying?
Like, that was a wild hire.
That was insane. I was spinning that on the timeline.
He's been out of coaching since he got fired at Florida.
It makes sense.
Wasn't even like another school that was like, hey, let's give him a shot.
Yeah, I think he does insurance or mortgage now. Nuts.
Respectable job.
Relationships can get you. Just who you know can get you like wow jobs, and the next thing you know, you're selling insurance. Mm-hmm. Like, you can be a coach from who you know, and then like 2 years later, you're like State Farm, Jake.
All right, that's right. Speaking of khakis, still very proud to not see many pleats on the other sidelines or on the in the pictures.
Man, I can dress.
No, I'm telling you what. And this is just what he brought in the bag for a couple weeks stay over at the hotel before National Signing Day.
All right, when do we talk? Are we still talking hires? You want to go down the hire list?
I was going to get into. I was going to get into Darnell Stapleton real quick, and then we're going to bring Tim Buckley on, who's going to talk to us a little bit about Billy Napier's time over at ULL. So before we do that, let's give a quick talk about Darnell Stapleton, who joins the University of Florida staff as an assistant offensive line coach. Billy Napier announced very early on that he would have 2 offensive line coaches. It is our understanding that the other offensive line coach is currently coaching in the NFL right now. But Darnell Stapleton, former Pittsburgh Steeler when they won a Super Bowl, was on staff with Billy Napier for the last few years at Louisiana, will join, and he was announced on Friday as the Gators assistant offensive line coach. Not sure how those duties will be split up, and maybe when we talk to Tim here momentarily, he can tell us a little bit more. I'm not sure if it's going to be, inside and outside or how it's going to, totally work. But Darnell Stapleton was announced. So Nick, any thoughts on him before we bring Tim on?
I like Stapleton. I think the other offensive line name that I believe will be hired, I don't know that he's going to be that dog on the recruiting trail, which is okay if you have another guy who is. And I think Stapleton, young coach, ambitious, will hit the recruiting trail. So I think if you're going to have 2 offensive line coaches, you have one that's a great recruiter and one that is a great coach on the field, technique, things like that. So I think that's kind of where this goes. It's interesting. It's a huge step up from UL and a huge step in his early career. Super Bowl champion.
I think it's a great matchup as far as like strategy wise. It's similar to what we were all complaining about Sal recruiting our defensive line here, but when he went to Bama, they match him up with Roach at Bama, and those guys are a perfect 2 of a younger recruiter and an older technician. And the same thing, I think it's the similar situation. I don't think Rob Sell want to jump on the trail. Those NFL guys that are technicians, Havy ain't a guy that wanted to really get on the trail like that. So, and I thought Dan Mullen should did the same thing. We complained about it a long time. Like, why don't they match Havy with a younger guy to help him recruit better. So I think it's a good fit with Stapleton being a younger guy, Super Bowl experience. He's black. Let's not act like that don't help. It does help. So him on the trail is going to definitely, alongside Rob Sell, I think it's going to be a good match if it's Rob Sell.
Yeah, and everything that we're hearing, I think, is that's the case.
For sure.
Stapleton's career played about 5 years, or I guess about 4 years in the NFL. After that, became head coach of the New York Sharks, which is a professional women's team in the Women's Football Alliance. He was their head coach.
Then he went to the women's team too.
Yeah, he sure did.
Oh, shout out to Rob. Rob's versatile.
Yeah, let's see, that was 10 years ago. As a 26-year-old. As a 26-year-old, I'll tell you what, he knew what he was doing. Then went to Montclair, and then he went to Rutgers as an offensive assistant. Then he went to Pace University, Bucknell, Sam Houston State, and then, he had only spent 1 year at Louisiana with Billy Napier. But does come over, does
what
join
a jump. What a jump, though. Like, looking at his resume, to go from ULL to the Giants, like, what a jump. So that says something about, like, even people that are saying Billy Napier to go from Sun Belt to the SEC. And it's different with head coaching, but I think that's a crazy jump. And it goes to say something about his eye for, like, coaching talent, because that guy was at ULL and went to the Giants.
Y'all are going to make Billy Napier mad calling it ULL. I can't remember when it was.
You listen to the show. Shout out to Billy.
I can't remember. Tim will say it. Tim will say it too. I can't remember when it was, but when did UL come into Gainesville? Almost beat Florida too, I think. But they were going through their
had to
change.
be a bad year. They almost beat us. I
think that was Muschamp, right?
It might have been 13. It might have been 13.
Yeah,
that was in 2012. Yeah, 2012. Oh, was that the year that we had to block the punt?
Yeah, I think so. But
shout out to whoever blocked that punt.
I think that's when they were making the change, and they were like, please don't refer to us as ULL or Louisiana hyphen Lafayette. It's just University of Louisiana. And somebody who worked for the Sun Belt when after Billy was hired was like, hey, you might not want to call it ULL anymore around these guys. And I'm like, all right, cool.
Whatever we call them is who they is.
Hey,
they ain't won enough for us to just be like, ULL is what I'm calling them. Shout out to Billy. I respect them people, but they ULL.
You're gonna get blocked again.
Let's get Tim Buckley.
Billy blocked me again? All right, I apologize.
Yeah. Let's get Tim Buckley on. Tim Buckley is a writer. But before we do that, let's give a shout out to our friends over at Homefield Apparel. Go to homefieldapparel.com, use promo code Stadium and Gale, all one word. Shop early before Christmas. All sorts of colleges, all sorts of universities. Obviously, incredible Florida Gators gear. I think they have 15 or 17 products you can get that are Florida Gators related, but a host of other schools for your mom, your dad, your significant other, your child, whoever the case may be. Go to homefieldapparel.com. Softest cotton in the world, one of the best products, really cool vintage gear that you can get. Go to homefieldapparel.com, use promo code Stadium and Gale, and get yourself 15% off at checkout. So let's give our friend Tim Buckley on the show. Tim Buckley is a beat reporter for the Daily Advertiser covering the University of Louisiana sports. Tim, how are you doing this evening, my friend?
Doing great, fellas. How you guys doing?
Good.
Oh, man, can't complain at all, Tim.
Can you give us a little clarification on that, Tim? We were just talking about the ULL versus UL. I can't remember when it happened.
No disrespect, Tim. I didn't mean any disrespect. I forgot you was in the chamber. So.
Trust me, you're not disrespecting me because I'm not from these parts, and all my buddies to the country all know them as
so you call it ULL too, huh?
Well, I don't because of the heat that we catch down here when you do from the locals. They're very hypersensitive to it. It goes to the whole, frankly, we can take up not just the 10 minutes, but we can take up the next 10 hours with the backstory. It basically goes to the kind of redheaded stepchild thing they got going on compared to LSU as far as how LSU types look at them, and arguably an inferiority complex that might be going on as well. But you were right.
I like the move, Tim, from a University of Florida standpoint, and then them being Louisiana State University, like state. I like that they took
Just grab the
Louisiana
name.
University. Yeah, I like it.
Yeah, stole it from Louisiana Monroe too, right?
It's branding. Well, that goes to the root of it, which is they're trying to, kind of establish themselves as, there's two systems, the LSU system here and the University of Louisiana system. They're trying to establish themselves as the number one there. There's lawsuits and all sorts of stuff going on. But it was back to that time, back to the Jelani Jenkins block punt time when Mark Hudspeth thought he was going to get his first.
Jenkins.
It just didn't work out.
Well, Tim, we wanted to bring you on to talk a little bit about Billy. He seems to he's a name. I mean, I can go back to when Jim McElwain was about to get hired at Florida, and people thinking that, is he going to bring Billy Napier with him? He was the guy that brought him, to Colorado State for a year. He's a name that's been around Gainesville for a while. He seems to have at least reportedly turned down some schools in the past. Why do you think now in Florida was the right time for him? UL released that video of after the Sun Belt Championship. It seemed like a pretty emotional last meeting with the team. I know you were at the press conference, and I was sitting there on Zoom, and I'm like, man, this has been like a half an hour after the game. What's happening here? And I guess I got my answer there. He was talking to them in the locker room for a while. Also, it's an interesting move. It seems like the fans – in the administration, there wasn't any hard feelings with Billy leaving. It was almost kind of like a thank you for your time, almost like a college graduation. It's like, hey, you did your 4 years here. Congratulations, and the best of luck.
Well, a little more backstory first. You got to understand that there has not been a head coach who's left this place to coach another FBS program, ever. Period. He's the first one. So yeah, absolutely, he graduated, and he had opportunities to leave. He was offered Mississippi State by all accounts after the 2019 season. Turned that down, and then you get into the whole semantics of the was he actually offered, or would you take it if we offered it kind of thing with South Carolina and Auburn after last season. And none of those were the fit because Billy Napier, there's a few things going on. One is he has a huge ask, not personally in terms of how much money he put in or length of contract or any of that stuff necessarily, but just the support system and the salary pool for assistant coaches and the commitment. And he's all about, alignment between the school president and the athletic director and him having a whole lot of say on what happens with the football program. And he had that here, and he was waiting for the right situation. And the other part of it was he came back to a team that's absolutely loaded. They've won 12 straight. After that loss at Texas, they had a bunch of seniors, super seniors, a couple seventh-year seniors all back. It's a big part of why he came back.
I think Scott. I said on the podcast too. I think Scott Strickland was talking directly to him in his post Mullen firing. He's
no doubt.
He was saying we don't have the same situation where boosters are pulling strings, and we don't have all these outside influences moving things around. He's like, this is my search. We're handling it. So I think Scott was talking directly to him. It seems like he said he's bringing an army, and we were just talking about it at the beginning of the show. It seems like there's we're flying by the seat of our pants here with some of these coaching titles. There's we're talking about like Minister of Mayhem. We're getting someone who was just hired, Dan, in charge of like
Director of Research and Evaluation.
Yeah. Can you tell us a little bit about how
Army of nerds, man? Get the nerds together.
Can you tell us about how he I guess just the infrastructure that he tries to set up?
You guys still got me?
I can hear you.
Yeah, we got you now.
Hey, apologize. I'm cutting in and out. Yeah, he has a whole army behind him. So he wanted the big salary pool. He wanted all the resources. He's big on analysts. He has like analysts for everything imaginable. The stories go, a lot of them just kind of sit around and watch him watching film, but he likes his analysts. And that was he needed all of that, in place before he made the jump. And I don't know if you guys caught it, and I apologize for cutting in and out earlier, but he had a loaded team to come back to that's won, 12 straight now going into the New Orleans Bowl. And that was part of why he could afford to be picky.
Yeah. Tim, talk to us a little bit. I mean, we've seen Billy in a press conference. A lot of Gator fans have watched maybe a game or so. But what can you expect from Billy throughout the offseason, maybe during the season? Demeanor, language, press conferences, energy. Like, who is he besides just in your opening press conference?
Well, you got to remember, pretty much everything Billy does from the time he wakes up to the time he goes to sleep was influenced by Nick Saban. So you're not going to get a whole lot of, crazy out of Billy. You're not going to get, wild comments at pressers or stuff like that. He's kept reams and reams of notebooks. He has every single day for the year planned out in advance. He's really scripted in everything he does. It's pretty buttoned up. He runs a tight ship. There was not a lot of availability for his assistant coaches. He basically made them available once in the spring and once in the preseason, and then there was no access to them during the season. That's the kind of ship that he runs. So if you're looking for the Mike Leach craziness at a presser stuff, forget about it.
That's why I was all aboard the Lane train, honestly. I think Lane would have been a beautiful disaster here in Gainesville, but the content would be endless.
All right, Tim, don't even pay Nick any mind.
Tim and I are in the same profession. We're voting for quotes.
Yeah, I feel you.
Yeah.
I like a good shit show. I just don't like it to be my shit show. Personally, you say he's a scripted guy, very detailed guy. I want to ask you about his approach to maybe the Florida situation in recruiting. He pretty much let the whole class go, and I know he has to have a plan because he's a very meticulous guy. What do you think about that approach as far as letting the whole recruiting class go and kind of evaluating things on the game is different now as far as how you can acquire talent, but what's your opinion on his approach to all of this?
He did the exact same thing when he came here. He released all of the commits that the Cajuns had at the time that Mark Hudspeth left behind, but he ended up re-offering and keeping an overwhelming majority of them and signing them. To me, I think the big thing now is, he's got his Louisiana guys, especially with Coy Raymond and with Jabbar Jalouk. How's he going to attack Florida recruiting? How's that going to fall into place for him? I think that's, the big question that he has to answer, because there's some talent in Louisiana, don't get me wrong, but obviously you can't ignore your backyard. And he was big about protecting the backyard as much as you could here, but they dipped heavy into Texas. They dipped into Mississippi and the Gulf Coast down here too. So he'll go where he needs to go. But it'll be interesting to see how he assembles the rest of that staff. And I heard you guys talking about Rob Sale earlier. Rob was a pretty strong recruiter when he was here. Yeah, he absolutely was. In fact, he got a kid out of his own high school up in the Monroe area, and there's a big, Monroe versus Lafayette thing and all that going on. But kind of a mini Gainesville, Tallahassee type thing. But he got Max Mitchell, who's going to the Senior Bowl and was named a third-team AP All-American today, out of Monroe, because that's where Rob's from. So he's not Rob's not afraid to get a little dirty when it comes to the recruiting stuff at all.
I like the vibes of Jalouk. He got some real high praise from Leonard Fournette and Geis and some other guys. What's your overall opinion on Jaluk?
Jaluk is, I mean, the proof is in the pudding with Jaluk. You know, you mentioned Leonard Fournette, but you think about the guys here, and mind you, it's coming from a Group of 5 Sun Belt Conference program. But, you know, Jaluk put into the NFL Elijah Mitchell, Trey Regis. He had Raymond Calais, who was playing with the Rams until he had a season-ending injury at the beginning of this season. He's got another one who's probably NFL worthy, who's just a freshman here, but by the time he leaves, he'll probably be ready. Montrell Johnson, who they got out of the New Orleans area. Jaluk is an old New Orleans high school coach, and he kind of made a name for himself tapping into that talent there. So he's produced, you know, the times that I have met him, a really good guy with an incredible family story and a wife who's, if you guys ever dig into the whole story with her, has overcome all sorts of cancer stuff and just an incredible tale of her own to tell.
That's awesome. We'll have to learn more, try to cover that over the next couple of weeks. Tim, I got a question. I know that Billy Napier is obviously a very meticulous guy. You've mentioned, a lot of people have mentioned that he's had, you know, every day planned out. He's got a very exact plan. What kind of adversity has Billy Napier kind of faced or did he face at Louisiana? Was he able to adapt, or is he a guy that is more of a stick to his guns, you know, type of guy? But how does that piece come into play when maybe the plan, you know, meets the enemy?
Well, you know, you mentioned at Louisiana, but I'm going to back it up a little bit if you'll allow me. As far as adversity and Billy Napier goes, let's not forget he was like the youngest offensive coordinator in college football when he was hired the first time around at Clemson, and ended up getting quickly fired by Dabo Swinney. And you know, that's adversity there, when all of a sudden it's like a slap in the face. You're riding high, and then boom, it kind of comes to a halt like that. And he ended up latching on at Alabama as an analyst, and that was kind of how he like clawed his way back in. And part of the way that he clawed his way back in was through the connections that he had through his father, Bill Napier, who is a heralded longtime high school football coach in North Georgia, who sadly Billy lost after a battle with ALS. And if, you know, dealing with that at the same time you're building a coaching career with the resume that Billy Napier has isn't facing adversity, I don't know what is. But he was influenced by so much from his father, who of course he played for as the high school quarterback, and you know, who taught him and influenced him, you know, so much of what he knows before Saban got a hold of him. So, you know, Billy talks a lot about, I just thought I was going to be a high school coach like my dad. He's got a brother who's in high school coaching too. And I don't think he originally set out to do all of this, but boy, once you spend a little time in Tuscaloosa, I guess it just grows on you.
It's that certainly sets you on a different career trajectory. We like to call it the Nick Saban rehab program for coaches. I think Billy was one of the first guys to go through it.
He's the mentorship program more than the rehab is like for Sark.
It was for Sark, Loxley, Lane.
For sure.
Billy, we can get you out of here if you need to go, but
I'm good.
Billy,
I'm good.
Okay. Billy seems to me, a lot of Gator fans had some PTSD with the Jim McElwain connection because of how those things happened here. The only real thing, at least that I've gotten, and granted it's been 10 days, that I would connect Billy to McElwain is that there's a deep, or it seems to be a deep relationship that he wants to have with his players, more so on a person-to-person level than a coach-to-player. What can you do for me on the field? Is that a sense that you got covering him for 4 years, that he really invests and cares about, I guess, the person more than the player?
I think I would agree with most of that, and I did wonder how the McElwain thing would impact his candidacy at Florida, and obviously it had no impact at all because I think Strickland had his eye on Billy, like, for a long time. I think one thing that should be noted is that Billy isn't like the hammer type guy. He has people for that. He has, there's tales about, if there's an issue, Jaluk might, put a kid in the car and drive him around town a little bit and have a chat with them and then get back and all's good again. Billy doesn't mix himself up in a lot of that, and I think that approach worked with these kids here because when he took over here, this was a broken product. I don't know how much you guys really have gotten into this part of it, but Mark Hudspeth, his first 4 years, they had 9 wins all 4 seasons, won the New Orleans Bowl, and then he ended with 3 straight losing seasons, a locker room controversy, a crazy arrest day in which a whole bunch of them, like 9 or something, got charged with a felony on the same day, stemming out of one incident for breaking into a teammate's room and stealing his stuff. And you had an NCAA investigation and that led to a bunch of wins being vacated, including 2 New Orleans Bowl wins. It was a broken product and some in the football sense, broken kids that Billy kind of, resurrected, if you will, when he came in here. And those kids needed that and needed someone like him at that time. So, I don't know what similarities there are to that there, but he has the capability of being that kind of coach.
That's I guess the kind of sense that we're getting is that what Scott Strickland was looking for was a program builder, and that kind of sounds like he was that's what he was to UL. I think that's kind of where Florida is right now in terms of the locker room, infrastructure. So it'll be interesting to see what he can do here. Do you think that he is ready for listen, Florida is a pressure cooker. The last 6 coaches, one, Steve Spurrier, the field's named after him. He left the building saying 10 wins isn't good enough here anymore. Urban Meyer won 2 national championships and left pretty unceremoniously. And the other 4 have gotten fired. It's a tough job. It's demanding. There's a lot of resources, but there's a lot of expectations. Do you think he's ready for this kind of job?
Well, a lot of people might scoff at a Sun Belt coach making the jump to SEC coach without any interim step. I think when he first got here, I think a lot of people thought there might have been an interim step before he finally got to there. I do and will readily concede that he's probably in for a huge wake-up call. Much like the Gainesville media is not exactly the New York or the Philadelphia media, the Lafayette media is not the Gainesville media. He's going to have a lot more coming at him than he had coming at him here. But all that being said, if there's anybody who's equipped to handle it, just knowing, what he does in terms of preparation and how locked in on stuff he is, although he might not be the most on-time person in the world, I do think he's ready for it, but it is going to be, I think, a little bit of a wake-up call, and maybe that's reflected in the contract too, in the length of the contract, and in how it's a little bit more incentive based than, for instance, the Brian Kelly contract is at LSU.
Right. I want to ask more questions about because he made another hire, defensive coordinator, guy that he brought from ULL, and Patrick Toney. And just reading you guys' message boards, doing some digging, you guys think very highly of him. And he was very important in you guys winning the Sun Belt this year. What's your opinion on Patrick Toney?
Well, it's not so much what media thinks of him or even what the fans think of him. it's what those kids think of him. Those kids love Patrick Toney, and he was young. Like, when he got he got promoted, not this season, but last season, he was 30 years old, defensive coordinator. He's off the Ron Roberts tree, who is the former Southeastern Louisiana head coach, who ended up being the defensive coordinator here for 2 seasons, and now is the DC at Baylor. That's it's a pretty good tree. That's also produced, for instance, Pete Golding at Alabama, the kids love him. He's all about prep. They say that he's shouting stuff to them from the sideline on what's going to happen in the play, before 2 seconds are off the play clock. He sees everything. He did just get married, but he's pretty singular focus in terms of football. He's talked before about kind of harboring some NFL DC aspirations, but and I don't know if he's going to be DC or maybe co-DC down there. But I think people are going to be impressed by him. It might take a little bit to, get it all put together, but he's got a good football mind.
It seems I wonder what these wives, how much they have to carry, because it seems like Billy doesn't have many hobbies. That it's like wake up and his hobby is football. No it sounds like you just said Patrick Toney's hobby is also football.
Coaches with hobbies get fired.
That's true.
Now I will say this: he's got 3 little kids, and I know there's a lot of 11 p.m. meetings in that building, so I don't know when he's able to see the 3 little ones, especially during the season. But during the COVID season, he was telling great stories about how he and his wife were kind of tag teaming them, and was taking like morning duty to kind of be the in-school preschool teacher and young I don't know, kindergarten, grade school, or early grade school type teacher, just like all the other schmoes out there trying to figure out how to teach their kids reading, writing, and arithmetic. So if there is a hobby, it might sound weird, but it's the family. He's a pretty religious guy. He's when I say religious, not like outwardly and all that, but a real faith-based guy. He treasures that family, and how he balances that with what he does football-wise, how a lot of these guys, most of these guys are able to pull that off, and a lot aren't, but how he does it, it's mind-boggling to me.
Well, perfect. Well, Tim, it was an absolute pleasure getting to know you and a little bit more about Billy Napier today. I do want to get your thoughts, since I know you cover more than just the University of Louisiana. What are the thoughts on Brian Kelly's dance moves in Louisiana today?
Well, it was to a country song. It was to little Garth Brooks.
Yeah, little Garth Brooks.
Calling Baton Rouge. I think awkward was the phrase of the day going around with it. And that was a Lafayette kid, by the way, that video went out with the quarterback, Walker Howard, who's the son of, you guys might recognize the name, Jamie Howard, the old LSU quarterback. And
I have no idea who that is, Tim. No, sorry.
Walker looked.
Sorry,
Walker looks. I got you. Walker looks slightly uncomfortable up there, but yeah, I did a little thing on that, and man, it got like 8 zillion page views. So he can keep on dancing, as far as I'm concerned.
What was worse,
I know a guy like him.
What was worse, his dance moves or his overnight Southern accent and new Southern heritage and roots?
Yeah, that was brutal. I've been down here 10 years now. I'm obviously from up north, but I heard that and I just cringed.
Oof. Tim, what do you think about him getting rid of? I don't want to hold you any longer. What do you think about him getting rid of Corey Raymond?
Well, and that was a really interesting move. I mean, everybody's got their own guys, and you got to come in and shake stuff up. It'll be interesting to see how that impacts the recruiting because, they had some cornerbacks that Corey Raymond, was heavy on, and some of those kids are wavering a little bit now. That one was interesting, and the Kevin Falk move was also interesting. Kevin from Lafayette, and obviously has all those ties that he does to LSU, and he kind of got left in the lurch too. A lot of people thought he might end up with some sort of off-field type position and at least stay a part of the program, but that didn't happen. But you don't get paid whatever it is, $95 million to come in and keep the status quo from a 6-6 team that just spent 16 point however many million to buy out their old coach who just won a national championship.
Well, Tim, we appreciate you coming on. Hopefully we can get you on again in the future, but it's an absolute pleasure getting to know, like I said, you and Billy Napier and his time at Louisiana. If we don't talk to you, have a great holiday season and best of luck covering Louisiana's bowl game.
All right. Sounds good, guys. Appreciate it. And I hope the Wi-Fi wasn't cutting in and out too bad on you.
No, you're good. We appreciate you, Tim. Thank you.
Good.
Thanks, Tim.
Yep.
Happy Kwanzaa, Tim.
Oh, jeez. Jeez. I don't know if they celebrate Kwanzaa in Louisiana very much, but
he's gonna Google it.
Yeah, but well, we got Eric Fawcett sitting.
Wait, real quick. What goes before Kwanzaa? Happy, Merry?
Christmas.
No.
Damn. Happy Kwanzaa.
Yeah, it's happy anything. You can't go wrong with happy.
Yeah.
Okay.
Right. I don't celebrate Kwanzaa, so I don't know. Well,
yeah. Speaking of happy, we're happy to talk to Eric about the best coach on campus, Mike White.
Man, you know what? I just want to I just want to shout it out that Silk struggled with the phrase "a big ask" about Billy Napier. I mean, he was so confused. If you're watching this on YouTube, you got to see his face.
I bring on professional people.
I thought he said big ass. I was like, yo.
Silk was a second away from going pause.
Yeah,
I was.
Would have thrown Tim off.
The whole interview.
I almost got very childish. I admit.
Eric and I supporting the pod.
Well, let's before we bring Eric on, let's shout out our sponsor, Game Time Sidekicks. Visit them, GameTimeSidekicks.com. Use promo code Stadium, get 10% off. The best vacuum sealed stainless steel. Drinkware that you're going to get. Over 350 schools. They're actually going to be doing some really cool NIL stuff potentially, so stay tuned for that. But some of the best drinkware, I know I drink out of it. Silk does, Nick does. A lot of you guys have supported them. Big fan of the podcast. Really great company, really great product. So go visit GameTimeSidekicks.com. Use promo code Stadium, get 10% off of your order. All right, Eric. The time has come. The Gators started miraculously. Wins over Florida State, wins over Ohio State.
Repent.
The Gator
fan
base was over the moon. Since then, Eric, some things have gone a bit awry. Gators are 1-3 in their last 4, including a loss to a Texas Southern team, which handed an SEC team their first ever loss from the SWAC. So, Eric, what's happening, brother?
Yeah, I mean, I was wrong, and I'm definitely here to say it. And I think that one thing that I definitely missed on was it was one thing when Florida kept making the same mistakes that a lot of teams have lost with in the last couple of years, and that's getting really young, trying styles of basketball that haven't really worked in the last decade, and for Florida to get really old this year and then play a style of basketball that has worked at the college level and at the NBA level. I was kind of like, hey, finally, Florida's getting old. We're not going to have the moments where Mike White says, wow, we had a really bad week of practice and came in unfocused, because I thought that's what happened to young teams. And that's what happened to Florida because they were young. The fact of the matter is now Florida's got one of the oldest teams in the country, and it's still, we had a bad week of practice and we came into the game unfocused. Or there was a bit of a new one against Maryland where he said we were starstruck, which I hadn't heard that one before. But you know what? Like this is probably what's the most concerning to me, because it's really frustrating to continue to lose doing the same things. And that was the last couple of years. But now it's really concerning that Florida is finding new ways to lose and getting really innovative. Old. A thought leader on how to lose in new ways. No. But that's the thing, right? Like Florida, by getting really old, by getting all these transfers, you'd think that there wouldn't be, hey, we had bad weeks of practice. Hey, we came in unfocused. That's just not something you expect. So yeah, for them to come in the way they did, I certainly expected something, and I kind of spoke like I thought this team was going to be good. I thought they were not going to have the frustrating losses, and clearly I was very wrong.
Eric, I want to talk about that Texas Southern game because I didn't watch it. Because I didn't think that there'd be a reason to. And plus, I don't think that TV personnel thought that would be a game that really mattered. So I think it was on like ESPN 37. What happened? How did the Gators lose not only to Texas Southern, but to lose by 15 points in a game that they were dominated? What happened? And was it the same thing that happened against Maryland, or was it one of our new innovative ways to lose?
So the game before, the week prior, they played against Oklahoma and lost. And Oklahoma's coached by someone named Porter Moser, who I think is the best X and O's coach in college basketball. And he also plays the 5-out style of offense that Florida does, but he does it 100 times better. And he knew exactly what Florida was doing, and he knew exactly how to stop it. And that's how they lost to Oklahoma, because every action that Florida was trying to run, Oklahoma's like, we run this stuff, we run it 3 times better, and we know how to stop it. So then you go to their next game, and it's Texas Southern. They've got a game of film of how Oklahoma was able to really neutralize what Florida was doing. And from the first possession of the game, they were getting Florida out of all their actions, denying every movement that Florida needs to kind of make their offense work. And so that's how you see Florida have a night where they can hardly score, and they end the game with 54 points. The other stat that's perhaps more concerning, especially against a team like Texas Southern from the SWAC, is they had 46 rebounds. Florida had 23. So they doubled up Florida on the glass. So again, like I want to give Texas Southern some respect. They've got some really good dudes in the front court, some big time athleticism, some guys with really high major size and athleticism, but still, man, to double up Florida on the glass, that's a tough one. That was a little bit of them being able to scramble Florida's defense, for them to know exactly what Florida is trying to do offensively. So they're always in defensive rebounding position. That wasn't pure effort and toughness. It was also because they knew what Florida was doing, and they were able to neutralize it. But I do think it kind of goes back to Porter Moser in Oklahoma showing the exact script of how to beat Florida, and then Texas Southern saying, hey, we can do that, and we've got some big time athletes who can rebound. Let's make it work. And that's how Florida lost.
So Florida is 1-3 in their last 4. SEC plays coming up in a couple weeks. I know we've got a couple games
thinking up the place, man,
between now and then. Florida, a tournament team, an NIT team. I don't know if the CBI is still a thing, but where do you have Florida right now?
So the loss to Texas Southern is something called a quadrant 4 loss by kind of the NCAA sorting tool.
Real quick, Eric, those are not good.
Yeah, that should be an immediately disqualifier, right?
Egregious.
Well,
is what they said. Egregious.
So here's the analysis. So in the
fireable offense is what the system is saying.
In the last couple of years, since the net started being a thing, there's been no team that has made the tournament that has a quadrant 4 loss. So does that mean that Florida is automatically disqualified? No, it certainly doesn't. But if Florida's on the bubble competing with teams with similar resumes, those other teams with similar resumes are probably not going to have a quadrant 4 loss on the schedule. So for that reason, they've got to be a little bit better on than just being on the bubble, because that loss right there could take them out of it. Again, this loss to Maryland. Maryland's not a great team. That is not going to age well.
They fired their coach just days before, correct?
Yeah, and Danny Manning was coach at Wake Forest, and they were really excited to get him.
Interims?
Yeah.
We got basketball Mike Norvell.
Don't.
What? Nick, we're losing to interims, fam. That can't happen.
I appreciate how you keep coming for my guy, Greg Knox. He has done an impeccable job.
Knox, man. No
interim.
Disrespect to Knox, but when we can't lose the interims.
Don't put your drive-by bullets to Mike White.
Sorry,
don't let them hit Greg Knox.
About us.
Interim coaches are people too, Nick.
Thank you.
Yeah, I mean, Mark Turgeon, someone who Maryland fans just got so upset with because they got in really good talent and kind of underachieved for a number of years. So he ended up actually quitting. Yeah, they gave him a buyout, but he was just so done with the fans and the pressure there, and he quit. So 8 games into the season, quits on his team. And Danny Manning, who was someone who was at Wake Forest last couple of years, they were really excited to get rid of him. So he got fired, and he ended up being on Maryland staff after a year of ACC network TV work. And that's the guy who Florida lost to. So, again, not only did Florida lose, but hey, Daddy Manning schemed it right up, knew exactly how Florida was going to play pick and rolls, knew exactly what to do to punish that, and they end up winning. So unfortunately, it was, it's one thing to lose and get out coached by Porter Moser, who from Oklahoma, who I think is just A plus coach. But yeah, I mean, Danny Manning, someone who Wake Forest chased him out of there and couldn't have been happier to be rid of him. I think he got the best of Coach White as well. So that's a little bit of a concerning loss. And yeah, Corey, we did lose to an interim.
There was a great blob though. Great fourth quarter blob. Well, listen, Eric, I'm just trying to find some positives here.
What's the fourth quarter? A blob?
Second half.
Second half. Okay.
Second half. Fourth quarter. It was the fourth quarter of the second half in the basketball contest.
Oh, very good.
Expert analysis.
Yeah. That's why people stick around for this show.
I'm just trying to find positives. I agree with you though. It's concerning when you have more graduate transfers, more seniors on the team than any other class, and you're talking about we had a bad week of practice. I appreciate the honesty. Hey, we had a bad week of practice, and I was worried about this game. But why are you are they just too old? Like, hey, they were very tired. We're a very old team, and they were tired. They didn't want to practice. That's concerning to me. You would hope that an older team could fix that and say, like, whoa, hey, we can't do this anymore. But, yeah, it's certainly concerning when you're losing to – I think Ken Pom had Texas Southern ranked like 240th in the country. There's only like 320 teams, so that's not good. Mm-hmm. It'll be interesting to see. I think the 6-0 start. Obviously, I was getting my Mike White lies off, but in the back of my head, I'm thinking, okay, well, being FSU, that's a good win. But what are you going to do when you get into the SEC? And I think that's now we're getting a little more concerned because of recent events as that gets closer.
Yeah, and I mean, it's another thing, too, where, you beat Florida State, you crush them, and it's like, wow, that's awesome. What a huge win for Florida, which, it kind of is. But what has Florida State done since? They lost to Syracuse, who's not very good, and then they lost to South Carolina, who's really bad. So, I mean, suddenly that win is not looking like it was at the time, and maybe an indication that Florida wasn't quite what we thought they were after they beat Florida State. And the other thing, too, for anyone who's turned on a Florida game, you'll see them just pressure intensely. They go with a 3/4 court or full court and kind of press full court. You kind of look at Florida State, their weakness, they don't have good guards. Florida beats California. They don't have good guards. Ohio State, who Florida beat, they're a good team, but all their talent in the front court. They don't have good guards. So Florida gets some of those good quality wins that we're talking about, but it was almost one of those things where I think Florida's really frantic, high pressure style. Yeah, it did well to beat teams with really bad guards, but then you play Oklahoma and you play Maryland, who have okay guards. They're not even great guards. They're okay to maybe good guards, and they're kind of having their way with Florida's defense. So again, maybe a little bit of fool's gold when Florida was beating these teams with kind of below average guard play.
Well, how does that compare to other teams in the SEC? And we don't need a 14-team rundown, but, does the SEC have a lot of strong, guard teams? Or I know every game matters, but yeah.
Yeah, they certainly do. And I think that's something where when you're kind of thinking as a coach, like, how are you going to win in your league? Like, I'm not really interested in what's the style of play that's going to beat Troy and Milwaukee and even, bad high major teams like California. It's how do you win your league? So certainly concerning to me looking towards all these teams that have really dynamic guard play. It's like, does Florida think with some guys that aren't, I love Brandon McKissick and I love Flanders Fleming, these guys they brought in. I think they play really hard, but they're not as athletic as a lot of similar players in the SEC. So if you're trying to get them out there and say, hey, our style of play is to play really frenetically and to really pressure on the perimeter, well, that's what just got them beat against Maryland. And like I said, Maryland, okay guards, nowhere near the caliber of guards that Tennessee has and Auburn has and even Kentucky has. And, I could go up and down the list. So once again, just a little bit of a concerning element to how Florida has played.
And just as a reminder, this is a bad Maryland team. Maryland has historically, well, at least in the last 20 years, been pretty good. They've had some good teams, but this isn't one of them. So this is a bad loss, no matter what quadrant it's in.
Have we considered that maybe Mike White is just trying to turn FSU's loss to Florida into a quadrant 4 loss to sabotage the Seminoles season?
Never thought about it that way.
Chess, not checkers.
That's right.
Fire up the extension machine for Mike White. That might be the case.
I'm asking you this too, Eric, because Nick was on board last time saying there was no way that Dan Mullen can get fired, right?
I remember those.
So I like to throw these things out and this energy out in the air a little bit, Eric. Is there any way you can foresee Michael Blanco possibly not having this job?
I mean, he just got a decent extension last year with a bunch of other coaches such as Neubauer, it is different, I guess, because Florida is a football school and they're not a basketball school, and that maybe kind of gives you an indication of the road that Mullen has.
School, Eric, I don't know where you if they gave you the orientation.
Yeah, I don't know. Actions speak louder than words sometimes, and I
feel you on that.
I think. Here's the thing is I think if someone like Strickland is waiting for Mike White to do something fireable, be so bad that they're, in the NIT or CBI, like Dad said, or miss the tournament entirely or whatever. I just don't know if Florida's ever going to bottom out like that because we haven't seen it over the last 6 years. But I think there's just got to be some point where you say, hey, it's not about do we have a coach until he does something that's worth firing. It's do we look to see if we can improve in that area? And will Strickland think that way? I don't think he's kind of shown that yet, but I think that there's got to be a time where it's not just like, hey, has White done something so bad that we need to fire him immediately and go from there? It's got to be, hey, can we look at all the coaches in college basketball and can we improve in this area? Because if we are an everything school, if we want to be elite in college basketball, we have to look at every element of the program and where we can improve. And I think that just like you improve facilities, sometimes you've got to look at coaches and say, hey, can we improve in that area? Not is it so bad that it needs to be cut? Can we improve in this area? And I think that might be the situation for a Mike White more than him playing his team's being so poor and out of the NCAA tournament picture that he gets the axe.
Yeah, I think that's ultimately what made the turn for a lot of people. Dan Mullen, it wasn't necessarily is the next coach that you're going to hire be better than Dan Mullen? It's do we accept that this in its current iteration is unacceptable and we have to go try to find someone else, whether that person ends up being better or not.
And we kind of just figured out he was trying to get fired too. He kind of want to get fired. We gotta do this.
but I think, when I think of the basketball program, and there's a lot of defenders of Mike White out there, and listen, I'm not, and I've admitted it many times, I'm not the most knowledgeable basketball person. I am not the closest watcher of, Florida Gators basketball, but the pulse around those, including yourself, that are watching Florida Gators basketball is there seems to be a lot of frustration that has now turned into a lot of apathy, where expectations are just, we may make the tournament, we may have a surprising win, but this isn't a consistently fun team to watch.
Yo, look at Bama. Bama look like
winning team.
You would think Bama have the recent natties like we have, the way they care about basketball and the way they treating it.
So, I mean, I don't know. That's the general tone that I see is apathy. And I feel like that's the worst emotion that you can have as a fan base.
We got to fire somebody.
I would like you to be in my Twitter account during basketball games.
No,
not apathy yet.
But
definitely anger.
No,
apathy.
I think the thing is like a lot of it is like for Twitter show, right? Like I think a lot of it is like frustration at like Mike White. And I think that there's frustration towards him. I think that there's apathy towards the basketball program, right? I think this is who we're stuck with. He's going to be, get us to this level potentially, but that's it. Right. And I think that the care that a lot of people had has certainly fallen off. I mean, I think that it's still pointing Mike White's direction, but I think the care.
I agree with that. I agree that the ball is kind of being dropped a little bit. Like what Billy, the effort he put into like building is kind of like being turned back into like we're just a football school, and at one point in time we were going back to back in basketball, and basketball actually mattered. But and I watch it less. I care less about it right now just because the product, I don't like it, man, and it's just like I don't foresee a change. So I watch less, man. So there's something to what Dan's saying.
Yeah, and I mean I guess this would be up to you guys, but I would guess if Florida is a 6 or 7 or 8 seed in the next 3 NCAA tournaments and wins the first game and loses the second, that's not going to move the needle for you two guys. So I think it's just up to the administration to say, hey, is that cool with us? Are we cool being like semi-relevant nationally, but not grabbing the serious Gator fans here at home? Or do we make a change? And one thing I think is really interesting that you talked about Alabama is Alabama was kind of like, hey, we've got money. We think we can recruit because we're Alabama, even though we, have not been a quote unquote basketball school. We're going to get the best basketball coach we can. So Nate Oates, who's there now, they hired him from Buffalo. And he was only at Buffalo for a couple of years because before that he spent 11 years as a high school basketball coach. So they saw, hey, we think schematically he is incredible. Talent. We love his energy. Right. And we think because we have incredible facilities and because we're Alabama, we can get talent. And if we get a guy who can win, we're going to win over fans.
Man, and Bama got the right idea. Like, just grab talent and throw money at it.
Well, that's the thing, right? Hey, if you get
everything, talent, coaching talent, player talent, let's just grab talent and throw money at it.
Then it creates more money. Business.
Yes, man. It's beautiful.
So it's an interesting parallel you made, but so again, it's just does Florida want to? And hey, I know the parallels between Florida and Maryland, whose coach did just get run out of town, are somewhat similar. I think again, Mark Turgeon, who's the coach who just quit at Maryland, he was not very well liked, and something that I know Nick likes to remind people, and I remind people too, or people know too, is like Mike White is a very likable person, and he's a good person, and he's an honest person, and people like that. Mark Turgeon was not that, so he just had no rope when it.
No redeeming qualities.
But again, that was kind of a Maryland thing where they came to the conclusion they're just like, hey, yeah, for Mark Turgeon. So they decided, hey, we don't want to continue to kind of toil in mediocrity. So let's make a change. And so I'll just be interested if Florida's season kind of continues to go maybe on the trajectory it is right now. It could be on the bubble, which with a quadrant 4 loss can mean you're on the wrong side of the bubble. Or even if it's on the positive side, if things kind of go to
quadrant 4 thing, I'll just be interested to see what fireable offense. Quadrant 4 just sounds like he got to go. Like something was violated.
Well, again, it's just so unprecedented. You don't know exactly how much it's going to hurt you. Now you see Florida going to steal one, but yeah.
I mean, Eric, what's the equivalent? I mean, that would be the equivalent of losing to like a D2 football program, right?
I mean, I wouldn't say that. Again, people also like to point at 0-7 Texas Southern and say, wow, they're 0-7. Like, they must suck. The thing is, I mean, they're an HBCU. Small conference.
Must suck. That's what I said. Yeah. They don't must suck, Eric. If they're 0-7, Eric, they stink.
Well, I mean, they kept getting bought by high major teams. So it's not like they lost to a bunch of really bad teams. I mean, they beat they lost to teams worse than Florida, I'll tell you that much, but it's not like they're by the end of the season, they're the favorite to win their conference. They're the favorite to win the SWAC. So we could see them as a 50.
Yeah, we're not in the SWAC.
Yeah, so. Yeah, no, I get that for sure. I get that for sure. But again,
this is the first time a SWAC team's ever beat an SEC team, right?
Not the first time, but the first recently, and then it was the first time. I think it was the first time that a SWAC team beat a ranked SEC team. But I'm just saying that comparing it to a Division II loss, that would be a huge stretch. Right. But I mean, it would be like losing. Yeah, it would be like losing to whatever. I don't know. I don't know the lowest level of college football.
FCS.
Yeah, like it would be like, oh, you lost to the Idaho Vandals or whatever. Like that would be the, kind of maybe equivalent, but it wouldn't be Division II.
That's a horrendous loss.
That'd be egregious, Eric.
It's tough when I start trying to make college football comparisons.
To quote Silk from just like a month and a half ago, that's an egregious loss.
For sure.
Oh man, Eric. Well, man, as always, we didn't obviously do a proper introduction. You don't need an introduction. ESPN is shouting you out, but remind everybody where they can read your articles and follow you on social media.
Yeah, it's always good to be on, guys. Thank you so much, and always happy to admit when I'm wrong, and that happened on your show. So. Thanks for still keeping me back, but you can people can follow me on Twitter at efawcett7, and you can read all my stuff for free at GatorCountry.com.
Eric, stand in the paint with me. We're defending Blanco. We're going down with the ship, Eric.
Nick leads the league in being wrong. So,
hey, if you got to be good, or if you got to do something, be good at it. I'll lead the league in that.
What?
I don't know. It is. I don't know. So,
all right, guys. I'll see you next week. I'm gonna get out of here with Eric.
Eric, we appreciate you, brother. We'll talk to you soon.
Stay
warm
care.
And
take care, guys.
Happy holidays. And what we just learned is have a blessed Kwanzaa as well.
Yeah, happy Kwanzaa, Eric.
Hey, happy Kwanzaa.
Still throwing everyone off this week.
Oh man. Eric Fawcett, one of my favorite guests that we get onto this show. But let's get into some more coaching hires. We got a lot of things to get into before the show's over. The Gators announced, I believe, 4. And if I missed anybody, I am sorry. The Gators have announced 4 new additions to their staff. Andrew Burkett is going to be the director of research and evaluation. Interesting hire. Spent a number of years with Louisiana and Billy Napier staff, but before that, actually worked at 247 Sports, analyzing players and prospects.
Is that Raw Wave?
No. He's coming up. Okay, yeah, he's coming up next. But no, Andrew Burkett, University of Alabama, worked in the football program. I don't know what his exact role there was. Then went to work for 247 and worked for Louisiana. So he's going to be the director of research and evaluation. I think when you talked about nerds, so this is probably one of the ones that you were considering. But he's going to join, in my opinion, director of research and evaluation. Probably a guy that's going to be the one that's handling the board and everything that's associated with that. So we'll probably learn a little bit more about these roles as it comes out. But yeah, so shout out to Andrew Burkett. This is the hire that you were talking about. So Joe Hamilton joins the team as a personnel analyst on the defensive side of the ball. I would imagine personnel analyst is a recruiting analyst. So that is their title. Joe Hamilton, the Rob Wave lookalike.
Yeah, I like these hires, man. I don't remember seeing these job titles. Shout out to Billy with all the creative job titles. That's kind of like the theme of the show, right?
Yeah.
But I like all these evaluators, all these people. This is going to be a very analytical, progressive. This is progressive football when you're getting all the nerds around it. I don't think we had this type of energy beforehand.
And then
Jamar,
go ahead.
Am I tripping?
No, we had people in Florida had people in these roles. They definitely were never announced. And I think it was Thomas Goldcamp that put a tweet about it, that he, is appreciative that the staff is announcing these hires, whether you hear their names or not ever again. maybe a different story, but the fact that they are, I know that a lot of the Gator media had to go onto the Gator website, this time every year to kind of see if it was updated with a new name and who that person might be. But they never really made announcements. So it is cool to see these guys that are, backroom, back office type of guys that
these
you
people
may
matter,
never see
man.
that are,
For sure.
yeah, these guys matter. I mean, these guys are not putting in 60 hours a week. These guys are there doing dirty work and grunt work. So these guys deserve a shout out as well. Big name coming back to University of Florida, Jamar Cheney. You'll remember Jamar Cheney served in the first year of Dan Mullen's staff as a recruiting analyst, went back to Mississippi State.
Mistake.
But back to
Big mistake.
Yeah, went back to Mississippi State. Assumed a new role
by
there,
Mullen, I would say, not Cheney. Mistake by Mullen. Like that guy should have never got out of here.
No, I agree. Jamar Cheney went from recruiting analyst at Florida to a defensive quality control type of analyst at his alma mater, Mississippi State. He comes back to the University of Florida as a defensive analyst, again, more that quality control type of role, doing inside linebackers and outside linebackers. But he was doing a very similar role at Mississippi State, his alma mater. So to get him back to Florida in a very, a very similar role, no real title change is a big coup, I think, for Billy Napier and his staff. I'm sure there was more money being thrown around, but, to pull somebody from their alma mater for a same type of role is big. But he's an incredibly talented guy on the recruiting trail. We'll see how he is. Back office coaching, don't really know, much about it, but a guy that played, college football, played in the NFL, is a guy that knows the game of football. So you always want guys like him around.
Yeah, another relationship guy. So we're not like everybody. I got a few DMs of just fans asking me, are we concerned about our Florida relationships with the staff that Billy's bringing on? A lot of Louisiana ties. And I just think like the off the field guys. Plus, I think Corey Raymond can recruit anyway. He's been all around the Florida, Jacksonville, Dade, Broward, getting the best defensive backs if they're in Florida or not in Florida. So he's a guy that can go anywhere and recruit. But guys like Cheney help you relationship wise. He has some good ties in the state of Florida. He's from St. Lucie County. A guy that's just a South Florida guy.
Yep.
Good hire.
Big get for University of Florida. And then finally, Ashore Pira, who was the director of player engagement at ULL, I think is assuming a similar type of role here at the University of Florida. I don't know his job title or his responsibilities yet. But if you follow the Gators coaching staff on social media, this is the bald-headed fellow with the goatee that's literally in every photo of recruiting visits and everything else. So he's been out on the road, as the Gators don't have a full staff. Say what?
He's teleporting. We got rid of the jet. Yep. We got a teleporter.
Yep. And he is a guy.
I can't track that.
Yeah. He coached, or he was a high school coach that unfortunately resigned a few years ago. I guess fortunately for us, resigned a few years ago from the Leesburg area. Had some run-ins with some active recruiting of high school players. Spent some time at Louisiana Lafayette and joins the University of Florida staff. So probably some welcome allegations in Gainesville. Yeah.
So, we're cheating. I like the vibe.
Yeah. I mean, he ain't cheating now.
Cheating, you ain't winning.
He ain't cheating now. Like, you're allowed to cheat now.
So that should round that out. I think we've got everybody else named. I would imagine that we'll start to see some more names popping up here soon. Wednesday is National Signing Day, early National Signing Day. I would imagine you'll start to see some movements from coaches, not only to Florida, but around the country, probably starting on Thursday or
Thursday, Friday, man. It's going to get busy. I think it's going to get real busy.
So I guess, do we want to talk about that at all? There's been a lot of names thrown around. Tosh Lapoy from the Jacksonville Jaguars is a name that's been thrown around.
We getting like updates as we go. So what are you hearing about Tosh? We talked about it pre-show. There's been some rumors about like maybe him getting cleared or something. So what are you hearing?
Yeah, so it's my understanding, and I don't often like to throw this out there, without it being, multiple source confirmed, but I think some other people are putting it out there as well, that I don't think that he's going to end up at the University of Florida. I don't think that, it's something that's been cleared. It's my understanding that, there was maybe a desire for him to join the staff, that maybe the kibosh has been put on that. So I don't expect to see Tosh Lapoy at the University of Florida.
Never say never, but I thought it.
Yeah.
So he was rehomed by Nick Saban. I think there were some. I think the NCAA was starting to look around, and Nick Saban.
Who the hell is listening to the SEC right now? Like
Nick Saban
right now.
Got Tosh a job in Cleveland. He's now with, speaking of sinking ships, he's now in Jacksonville.
No, that's a sunk ship.
Shout out to the Silks team.
Hey, relax.
Shout out to Silks.
I come here to get away from my NFL problems, not like talk about it.
Silks NFL team.
No, man.
The fighting mighty Jaguars of Duval.
We gotta get Urban out of there, bro.
We got to get Urban on the show. We got some questions to answer about his work ethic and micromanagement.
No, I like the meeting he called. Like he kept it real with them boys and called them losers. I like it. They are losing. He hired them though. So
yeah, that's nuts. Somebody put an article out. I forgot who it was that like compared to winning records of everybody that's on the staff, and I think there's only one coach on the staff that has a worse record, in their career than Urban Meyer does. So. He's a guy that won at college, but certainly not winning the hearts, minds, and souls of the Jacksonville Jaguars.
He's checked out.
Fans
he's very checked out.
Oh, yeah.
He's like the Dan Mullen vibes. Dan Mullen checked out as well. Urban Meyer's checked out. Jaguars got to figure out if they want to like fire him or not. But he's checked out.
So Nick, you were saying never say never.
Never say never. I don't know, and I've said all along, I didn't know. Florida does not like to be on probation. We're on probation, what, like in the 70s?
Yeah.
80s.
We're allowed to cheat now, man.
Like, they were on probation right before Spurrier, and like for Spurrier's first year, right?
Well, yeah. But they were also on probation in the early 80s. I don't think it was right before Spurrier. I think it was like 83, 84.
Gotcha.
Who is on
probation?
My
probation
history.
Who's going to put us on probation?
Florida got off
NCAA
probation.
is dead, fam.
When was the last time a school was like on real like probation? Was it like SMU?
What is probation? No, the last team was probably Miami. They was just dumb enough to like probation themselves. Like the NCAA never did anything to Miami.
Well, Florida's head coach,
dead, man.
Florida's head coach Florida's head coach was just on probation, just had a show cause. So the answer to your question is Florida.
Well, no. I meant like real probation,
Yeah,
not like Dan Mullen can't travel. He didn't want to recruit anybody. It's like, oh man, I got to stay home and not travel.
He probably tried to do that in hindsight. Like,
he turned himself in anonymously.
Hey, this is definitely not Dan Mullen, but that Dan Mullen guy is running rampant, cheating all over the place. You should make sure he doesn't. He can't go off campus to recruit anymore.
Man, Sculling is his name.
That's a big brain. So I don't know that if Tosh would pass a UF vetting. That I know that he was vetted by UF within the first week that Billy was here. You're going to have to wait till the end of the Jaguar season, if he is going to go anywhere. But also I was told that Tosh would want to be the defensive coordinator and call plays. Is that an opportunity that Dan Lanning might give him at Oregon? Are you going to call plays if you're co-DC with Patrick Toney at Florida? Those are interesting things that we need to, take into account.
Right. I want to see where it goes if it's not if it's not Tosh. I know Chris Rumph is a name that's coming that I heard coming like on the defensive line front. I would like that hire. They have a former relationship with at Alabama. They had a Nick Saban tie. He's been at University of Florida before, so he knows the lay of the land. Wouldn't mind that hire. But if it's not Tosh, I would like to know who else is on that board, co-DC wise. I'm with you, Nick. Never say never type thing. I just think all bets are off with the NCAA type. They might just be like,
yeah, and that's just what I'm hearing today, right? You know, and I'm not the type of guy that says, hey, like, oh, like magically it worked out. They were able to work it out. Just from a couple conversations that I had today, I just don't think that that's going to happen. So I know that Mike Peterson's name was thrown around, not necessarily in that co-DC role, but just in general. You know, I think a lot will shake out here in the next couple of days. I mean, you look at all of the coaches that have been hired around the country, 25 plus of them, very few position coaches have been announced. There's been a lot of coordinators and moving, you know, at that level, but not a lot of position coaches have been announced. So I think that you're going to start to see more, not only over the next couple of days with early signing day, but after the bowl season and then after the NFL season. So the next, 4 weeks will be a lot of fireworks about what's moving around, because every time somebody moves creates different opportunities. So you just never know. So hold on to your butts, as they say.
That's a crazy way to put it. But yeah, I think the only assistants you really see moving is when a coach take them along with them. Other than that, you're not seeing anybody being really poached. And I think that goes to like the culture of culture and just being respectful, because signing day's Wednesday. Some of these guys, like you said, they're making deals behind the scene, but they're not going to move until like after early signing day. And I'm gonna be honest with you, like, what is recruiting anymore? Like, these guys could sign today and be in the portal by summertime.
It happened with Jadarius Perkins, right?
Right. So I'm just trying to figure out like how much I really care about, like how much stock I put into any of this at this point, because like you really could care, and these kids could get there and be gone 6 months from now. There's nothing stopping them.
Yeah, it used to be a lot dirtier. You would see before the transfer portal. I remember, I can't remember what year it was, but I remember a signing day and an early signing period, and then like the Thursday after, dozens of coaches being like, "Yep, I'm up and out of there," and players didn't have another course of action. They signed them a dotted line, they're stuck, and they'd have to sit out a year. And the coaches were allowed to move freely. You're going to see coaches all across the country leave the school that they're at Thursday and Friday and go to new places 24 hours after kids sign to go play for them, at one school. So I'm glad that the transfer portal, they can do it now.
And
those kids can leave now, yeah.
So it's like it's going to be a circus. Like, there's going to have to be some type of, like, barriers around this eventually. Like, if not, it's going to turn into a complete free agent circus. I
liked the early signing period when they brought it up. I don't know that it makes sense anymore.
It doesn't. It's dead. This is the last year. There's too many complaints. I think they're already moving to like transition it out. This is the last time we see it.
It's making coaches leave their spots. Brian Kelly's team could have made the playoff, and he was like, "Yo, I'm out later," because these coaches are thinking, "Well, I can't afford to wait until the end of the year because you're going to have 60% of a signing class, a recruiting class gone. By the time I get to a place, I can't do it. So now you're getting coaches quitting on their teams."
Well, and you're getting coaches fired early. You're getting coaches fired earlier too, right? Like, I mean,
I think Brian Kelly's one of the kind that quit on a team that's heading into the playoffs, though. Like,
that's a big weirdo.
We're not gonna like that's a normal thing what Brian Kelly did. He's the only like weirdo doing that type of stuff.
Lincoln Riley dipped. They're in New Year's Six Bowl. Just later.
Insane.
Yeah, I mean, speaking of which, quick plug for that the tweet that I don't know if you guys saw yesterday, but Mike Gundy's agent had quite a presentation for Scott Strickland.
That's not Mike Gundy's agent.
Oh, wait, who was it?
I don't know who that guy is, but he's not. He doesn't represent Mike Gundy.
Oh, very well. Somebody made a presentation on Mike Gundy's behalf. Well, moving on.
That's great content.
Yeah. Well, I saw it. Hey, SI Now said his agent, so my apologies. All right. So there also some discussion on Jawan Sider potentially coming back. You'll remember Jawan Sider served on the Gators staff as running backs coach with Jim McElwain for some time, stayed for about 3 weeks with Dan Mullen, and then moved on to Penn State. Any commentary that we want to have on Jawan Sider joining the University of Florida?
Yeah, I think it's just more of the same. I think obviously there's interest there from University of Florida. There's some interest from a lot of schools. He's one of the top just positional skill position coaches in the country. So there's some interest there, but I don't foresee anything happening. I know there was some people, a lot of rumors and smoke on message boards about maybe something being announced today, which is Monday. And I just kind of like put that out, kiboshed it, whatever you say, kibosh. Put
the
kibosh. Shout out to the kibosh. Yeah, nothing was going to be announced today. This is not how this worked, man. It's just a respectful thing. So I don't think any decisions have been made. I don't think anything has been signed, but definitely nothing's going to happen before Wednesday. Thursday, Friday, we'll start seeing some movement with like coaches. So I think anything with side is going to happen. It'll be the same thing. I don't think anything's going to happen before Wednesday.
You'll have the Gator fan base in a tizzy.
I don't have it in a tizzy. I've been keeping it a bean, man.
You have.
I don't know who's saying what on these message boards, but shout out to that. And they may have something. I don't know. But announcement wise, I didn't foresee any announcements being made. I didn't get any type of confirmations as far as that.
Well, thanks for keeping it a beam. Anybody else that you guys are hearing connected with this coaching staff?
I saw the Chris Rumph. I'm not hearing a lot. Wide receiver coach Nick had a little smoke, but not hearing a whole lot. We're not gonna get a quarterback, no OC, so the staff is set up a little different. We get an extra defensive coach because of the way the quarterback and the OC position is being handled. Right?
Yeah, and there's been a lot of you're exactly right. So they're going to have two offensive line coaches. There's going to be another coach that's available there. I am very interested to see how that does play out. There's been I think that you can also see the type of quarterbacks that he's going after and potentially targeting. But also I think, and Silk, you mentioned it earlier, there is an absolute free agency market right now. You have quarterbacks from Tennessee, USC, Clemson, schools all over the country, Texas A&M, schools from all over the country that, they're having, their 4- and 5-star former quarterbacks transferring. So I think it'll be interesting to see how this all does play out.
What do you do with right now at your quarterback room? Do you entertain one? You got an injured quarterback right now who you do think is maybe the future of your program in our mind, not in Billy's mind. In our mind, we think AR is the future, but he got the injury bug and he's out right now.
Yeah,
a lot of talent, elite talent on paper, talent in the portal right now. Do you explore that?
You have to. This is my thought is you have to go and get the individuals that you think you can trust to turn the keys over to, right? Whether Anthony Richardson or Emory Jones is that guy in Billy Napier's mind, I don't know, and we don't know right now. We know that Anthony Richardson's not playing in the bowl game, so it's going to be Emory Jones's opportunity to shine. After that, after December, 23rd, we'll see. I think that there's a lot of talent. I think that there's going to be a guy or two that Billy Napier wants out of that portal. Anthony Richardson or Emory Jones, I don't see both of them on the roster next year. After that, Jalen Kitna and Carlos Del Rio, where do they fit in Billy Napier's, scheme? I think that there's too much talent, on the transfer portal market right now to not go after somebody. And we can, we'll discuss that in the next couple of weeks, once we get through the bowl game and everything. But I think there's too much talent, on the market to not go out and get somebody. And then they've got to go find, somebody immediately in the recruiting ranks as well. I know that they just did offer a 7A Georgia football quarterback named Robbie Roper. Ooh, that name's going to give some people some.
Did they offer him?
No relation.
No relation to Kurt Roper.
No, that's a real offer.
Dude is tearing it up. At a high level in Georgia.
Yeah, he's 7A. Ryan O'Hara liked his film. He said they wanted to get together with him in the next couple days. He currently is getting he has offers from UMass, Morehead State, Morgan State, and Western Carolina. However, UF, Alabama, Ole Miss, and Vanderbilt are recruiting him now as well. So we will see.
Okay,
right now, a 2-star, 3-star guy.
So dropped. Goes, excuse me, Morehead what?
Yeah,
I gotta hear the company. Because I mean, this name is already in like group chat, so we're already discussing this behind the scenes.
Yeah, I think fans are already putting a name on the back of a jersey, right?
So no, on about back of a jersey. Probably about to put Billy on the front of a milk carton.
That too.
When they seen the stars that's going out, or the offer that's going out to these number of stars. But if we're in the company of that type of people recruiting, then we'll see it play out, because we're gonna keep it a beam.
Yeah.
Then we'll see who's really after him, and we'll see. But I mean, you just let a Rivals 100 quarterback go. So
it's Oklahoma.
It's to Oklahoma. It's definitely gonna come with criticism, for sure.
He was 190 of 273 passing with 37 touchdowns. Also had 465 yards rushing.
So it was said that I'm just hearing, and this is not
Woodstock.
concrete, but I'm hearing that they wasn't really fond of Ever's senior film as well. Like, it wasn't the best of film. I would like to see this 2-star film though, and I'm not going to say anything because Kyle Trask was a 2-star, so I'm not going to talk reckless.
Yeah, this is the Georgia Kyle Trask.
I don't know about all that.
Let me be
still, regardless, even that take, you still got to explore the portal. Like, regardless of whoever you take, and this is a transition class. So my take on the transition class, they always terrible. So, like, if Billy got a different approach, or maybe a transitional class, she's done this before, we'll see how it works out. But every transitional class, if you look around, just college football, they're trash. They don't pan out. So let's see what the approach is. Getting guys that actually fit your system, and I think one of the reasons they're trash is because the guy that's coming in usually has to work with the board that the previous staff had fit for their scheme. So he's coming in trying to salvage, and back then it was different than now. The only way to acquire talent was through just recruiting. Now it's a different game, and it's a different approach. So I want to see how he approaches it.
Well, and you see, 4- and 5-star guys. You see multiple year starters, as well. Keaton Slovis from USC, Zach Calzada from Texas A&M, Bo Nix. I don't think he's going to come to Florida, but multi-year starter at Auburn. So you see a lot of big names. You're going to continue to see, I think, even more. Dylan Gabriel from UCF. There's people that are out there that have done well and were highly regarded and highly recruited. But now it's an opportunity where you can go, you can transfer. You don't have to sit out a year. There's an opportunity to be under a new coach who doesn't have any ties to anybody that he recruited on that staff, more likely than not. This might be an opportunity for a guy that maybe was sitting behind a generational guy, or sitting behind, maybe just didn't get a fair shake, or wasn't in the new coach's plan to come in and, be a stopgap, because, Florida has some big question marks at that position next year, I think.
Well, here's my thing is I agree with you. I don't think Emory Jones and Anthony Richardson will both be on the roster next year. Could happen. I don't anticipate that, and I don't think Anthony Richardson is going anywhere. Are you going to attract a big name in the transfer portal with Anthony Richardson on your roster?
Well, I mean, I think that goes back to, where does that fit in, right? I mean, are you going to get a 5-star guy? I don't know. From LSU.
Possibly.
Does he have a connection?
Possibly.
He's connected to Florida State, right?
The reason I think you sell this is like, it's not Billy. AR is not Billy's guy.
Right.
Like whoever coming in is gonna be Billy's guy, and then you don't have to get a guy in the same class as AR. You get the separation in years where if the younger guy do bring in doesn't lose, if he does lose out, he's not gonna just bounce because next year it's his job. You know what I'm saying? So it's a way to play it. But I do think you do got to play in the transfer market just because of like health reasons, depth reasons. Like we just got to bring some immediate help in the quarterback room.
I mean, I'm just looking at the list right now. There's 4 former 5-stars in the transfer portal. Quinn Ewers, who's already going to Texas, Spencer Rattler, Bo Nix, and Harrison Bailey. There's a whole slew of 4-stars: Adrian Martinez, Jack Miller, Max Johnson, Jake Hayner, who I think is staying at Fresno State. Pardon me. Dylan Gabriel, Tyson from Clemson. I'm not even going to try to pronounce his last name. Jack Sears, Chuba Purdy, Miles Brennan, Parker McQuarrie, and then, Keaton Slovis, Michael Penix, Jack Plummer, and Brian Maurer. All of those guys are either highly recruited guys or guys with game experience. Yeah. So he had a rough year, I think, this year at Indiana, but all of those guys have experience, and all of those guys are now, in the portal or have talent. So you got to go get somebody.
Ooh. We just got portal news right now. Spencer Rattler going to South Carolina.
Very good. Good for them. It's a good get for Shane Beamer.
Take one off the board.
I don't know if he was ever on this board. That's a weird match. I like it. But it's a weird match. Him in South Carolina, Columbia, that's weird.
Well, he likes living in bad towns. Went to the wrong USC.
Oh, South Carolina. That's an interesting take. I don't know if I see that one, but not a take, but an interesting fit. I don't know how that fits. Right, match.
They do have Raising Cane's.
They do
in Columbia, South Carolina. Spence.
NIL play? No,
he's already got it. He had a Raising Cane's deal, or has. I don't know.
Yeah, not a bad take for South Carolina. But South Carolina, you just want to acquire talent. Yeah, you want to acquire talent, and that kid was never gonna go to USC no other way than how you just went.
Than how he just did it.
Right. So
Spencer Rattler against the Gators next year. Last time he had probably his best game ever. So we'll see. Nick, what are your thoughts? You take a guy, from the portal. I mean, obviously there's a lot of variables there, but what do you do if you're William Napier?
I mean, I think your quarterback room can get messy if these freshmen come in and say, "Hey, I don't like the culture here. I don't want to be a part of it." No hard feelings. That's cool. They could leave. You need to have 4 quarterbacks. So
you mean freshman?
The Del Rio or Kitna.
The boys ain't going nowhere.
They could.
Where?
Somewhere else.
Man, the market is you heard the names you just said in the market? Bro, it's not like I don't think that's a problem. Is what I'm gonna say.
Spot for everyone.
Because you put your name in the portal doesn't mean you get picked up.
Right.
So sometimes it's better just hang out, under the radar.
If I'm getting up, I'm Del Rio. Listen, man, there ain't nobody in the portal gonna pick me up that's better than the University of Florida degree. I'm gonna vibe here a little bit.
Yeah.
At least one more year.
Yeah, put me on the fast track to the degree program so I have 2 years to play somewhere else.
Yes.
Start taking 18 credits.
Get this degree and go to Troy State.
Oh, jeez.
1 year to ball out.
I think they will go into the portal for a lot of players, quarterback included, as well as trying to sign one. I think you'll get 2 quarterbacks in this class, transfer portal and a high school recruit.
Yeah, no, I agree. Speaking of transfer portal, before this gets lost, we did have a couple players that put their name in the transfer portal. I know that we mentioned that Chris Bogle's name is in the transfer portal. Mahmoud Diabate put his name in the transfer portal, as well as Jacob Copeland put his name in the transfer portal as well. There's some smoke about a few others putting their name in the transfer portal. Yeah, Gerald Mincy. Yep, committed to Tennessee. But I do know that there is some smoke about some other players. That's not certainly something that we will report on the show before they do that. Your thoughts on Jacob Copeland and Mahmoud Diabate entering the transfer portal?
Mahmoud came out and said he was just exploring his options. I get that. He should be. It's new regime. Just see what's out there. That's what all this is about. Jacob Copeland, I mean, sometimes it's just time. It's just time to both parties to get a fresh start. So I'm not mad at that at all. I get it. He took a visit to Maryland. I'm not sure where he's gonna end up. And some of these guys could get back out of the portal. I don't know who Billy's actually recruiting to get back out of the portal. I know Bogle's one of those guys, but Jared Mincy went to Tennessee. Then I don't. This is not something I'm mad at all. Hevesy ran a different type of room. A lot of those guys weren't just big fans of him. So when they got seen the exit and the time to get recruited by somebody else, they took it. So just kind of get everybody's situation right now, to be real with you. And I'm not mad at it. That's what all this is designed for. Free enterprise.
Yeah, I think Mahmoud is going to do his due diligence.
For sure, as he should.
Seems like that type of guy.
He could come back. I know Billy has given him the phone numbers, contacts for people at UL. Hey, go talk to these guys, whether it's an analyst or a coach. Talk to them. This is the kind of program we're going to run, the kind of defense that we're going to have. If that fits you, we'd love to have you. If it doesn't, we'll do anything we can help you, in your next stop. But if they want him back, I know Billy is recruiting him to come back. Billy would like to get Chris Bogle back as well. The Mincy move didn't make sense to me. I thought you could have contended for a starting role. You chilled as a backup for a couple of years, and then it's you have a shot to start, and you're like, I'm out. Jacob Copeland, 100% agree with Silk. This is an amicable divorce. Good luck.
Yeah, I think from even the Mincy standpoint, sometimes we just look at things from just a football standpoint, depth chart, and just that type of stuff. But it's just so much other stuff, personal, and just different aspects of the game, and just being around this stuff that goes into play. And I think that's what came into play with Mincy. It wasn't just about depth chart and opportunity. It was just bro, I just need a fresh start type of vibe. Just from my opinion, nothing solid, but that's the vibe I got.
Yeah, and then Jacob Copeland, the other name that we didn't mention, obviously the Gators' #1 receiver in yards this year, has also entered his name in the portal. Probably an opportunity for a fresh start for him, and I don't know if there will be a lot of begging for him to come back.
Yeah, I don't think nobody needs to be begged, man. I think it just is what it is, man. It's been a lot, bro. It's just be all the way a little bit transparent with my thoughts about the whole situation is with Jacob Copeland. I'm a big fan of the kid. Nothing personal, but I just thought even posts Dan Mullen towards the end of Dan Mullen's career, it was just a lot of things about him just not really wanting to be here, and just my vibes is bro, it's just that's the way it is now. If you don't want to be somewhere, you don't have to complain. Nobody's holding you hostage anymore. College football now, if you're unhappy, there's a portal. You can put your name in and you transport somewhere else. So that's been the vibes for a minute now, that he just wasn't happy here and he regretted being here. So I don't like that as a fan. I don't want to be cheering for people that regret to be here. You know what I'm saying? No slight to him, but I want to cheer for people that want to be here. So shout out to anybody that want to be here.
Yep, and certainly wish all of these guys, whether they come back to Florida, go somewhere else,
for sure,
or unfortunately, don't find another home. You certainly wish them the best of luck. And once a Gator, always a Gator, and I hope for all of their success, on the field and off the field. Boys, let me get into a couple of questions. We went a little long today, but I do want to get into a question from Twitter.
Like 2 hours.
Yeah. Let's see. Okay, so we talked a little bit about this. We did get this question. What are your concerns, if any, if we don't take a QB this class? We've kind of already answered that question.
We got to take 2 QBs.
Yeah. What other position beside offensive line do you think Billy Napier should put a focus on in the transfer portal?
DB room.
Okay.
First quarter, DB room. I mean, a little bit everywhere. I think D-line is probably your safest spot on the roster. Outside of that, you may be trying to infuse a player or two into almost like every room could use it. I think linebacker room could use it. I think defensive back room could use it.
I think your running back room is probably your –
depends on who.
Yeah. I think your running back room and your tight end room probably have the most –
I think you just look at the top talent available in the portal.
Right.
You know, like if it's elite talent that could change and like game breakers, just like that 5-star talent, it don't matter if this or a high school recruit or a guy that could help your roster right now. I think you just look at the whole landscape and go after the best players available to fill your needs.
Yeah.
I told you guys, that the 2022 high school class might be a wash and it's going to be a big portal.
Every trend. Year. Oh, no. That would be a big 40 year. I'm with it.
So do you remember laughing?
Laughed. You told me it was a ridiculous take.
Dan, just like my man, Bryce just did. Bryce Young just did this.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah. Like the 5-star kids, like, bro, everybody doubted me. Like, what are you talking about, nigga? Nobody laughed at you, man. That's not a thing. Quit making up fake narratives, bro. Like
Bryce Young is a guy that I knew when he was like a sophomore in high school that he was going to be like this elite quarterback.
Doubted me.
I'm not sure when people doubted. I mean, maybe like Pee Wee, right? Like, he threw a couple errant passes. They're like, hey, Bryce, like, we're going to let the other guy over here throw a couple. We're going to put you at receiver, right?
I've been doubted probably more than Bryce Young, and it's disrespectful. I took it personally.
With takes like that, I mean, it's obvious as to why. I don't think anybody doubted you, Nick. I do think that I thought the class would be a little bit more intact than it was now. I did not have Florida being ranked.
I said I thought we got to hit the portal. It's just what future is, man. I don't know. Nick, you did say you don't know how to like how many, is that sustainable? We don't know how sustainable that is. We just don't know. It's a lot of unknowns. All this is fairly new territory. So I think we all need to be a little bit more open-minded with the approach to like how any of these coaches are handling it. But I don't think the old approach matters because the old way of doing it, none of the transition classes were successful. The way they came in and salvaged stuff in the past didn't work. Right. So like, I'm not mad to see anything new tried because all the old ways these coaches came in, tried to salvage a class, just getting the job. None of that shit worked. So let's see what happens.
I need to find the audio of us laughing at Nick for that take because I think that's revisionist history. He put that in his Spaces conversation the other day.
In his mind, we were Beavis and Butthead laughing at his great take.
Yeah.
I think that's just reality. I don't know if that's
Nick, we'll roll the tape on your takes here. We do need to do a pre and postseason review. Nick, you were correct. Emory Jones would lead the team in rushing. I was wrong. So I'll give you that.
We're not do that.
Clip that
show for real.
Yeah, we're gonna do that show in a couple weeks.
Oh, it's a terrible show.
Couple weeks. Well, Silk, let's get the Manscaped ad read. Nick, think of the song that you've got this week, and let's take it home.
Shout out to Manscaped, man. I tell you what, man. I left my clippers in a bag I couldn't get a hold of. It was at the Kush house, and I couldn't get to them, but I needed them. And I had to use my Andes clippers. And I tell you, it was a long process. I didn't nick anything, but I could see why, like, Manscaped is so important now. Smooth process, man. Quick little zzz. And I'm out of there, Dan, because it's just nick-proof. Skin-safe technology. You're not cutting anything with the Lawnmower 4.0, the best trimmer in the business. Be sure to visit manscaped.com. Use coupon code SG at checkout for 20% off, free shipping. The best of the best when it comes to man grooming. Ball deodorant. Don't put it on your chin or your neck or your beard like my man Nick. That's a little weird. It is for your balls.
Oh man. It reminded me last week that Nick said he put it on his face. That's nuts.
That's crazy.
That's nuts. All right, Nick, take us
again.
home with Song of the Week, my friend.
We're going to go Rod Wave Street Runner.
I like it.
I like it.
Nick gets the show.
All right, boys. Same corner, same time?
You already know.
Already.
Yeah.
See you boys next week.
I can't think